Okay, I see the screens popping up and I see us in the Facebook group now. Pros, if you're joining us on Facebook, hello. Happy Thursday, Friday Junior to you. Thanks for being here. This is Pro Power Hour. This is something we do every Thursday at this new time at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern, every Thursday. We've been doing this for almost a year. We're going to be approaching a year pretty soon here. Every week, we really break down a product or feature that we have here in Housecall Pro, kind of talk about why you should use said product or feature, and then give you a full demo on it, answer your questions. We also collect all of the questions in the Facebook group that are related. So if you've posted something about signatures, for instance, that we're going to talk about today, we surface the group every week, check for your questions, and include those. And Phil graciously answers those and joins us every week. So we have a recording library as well of all of our past sessions. We've covered almost every feature and product. I think we have a few more we still need to get through. We need some different teams to do that, but we'll get those soon. But if you're interested in going back and watching some of the older stuff, we'll drop our link to the help article. All of our videos are also on YouTube. Um, and yeah, if you're on Facebook, we'll watch for your questions. I'll say hello to you there. Otherwise, Phil, turn it over to you and get started.
All right, sounds good. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here again. Looking forward to some of these new things that have come out that obviously we're here to share with you, really kind of the signatures and really collecting those approvals, making sure that you are all set, as Lauren stated, better than I did, compliance tools today. So getting all of your signatures, making sure customers understand where your terms and conditions are, doing a little CYA for you legally. So that's really what we're going to focus on today. As usual, I am going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of an information overload of all the things that we're going to talk about today. As I mentioned right off the bat, signatures, approvals, and terms and conditions. And then afterwards, I will go ahead and show you all where all of these are within your account and how to enable these things. They all are available to you. I think they're available to everybody, so everybody should have access to them. And then also I'll have time at the end for any questions. We do have some prepared. So let's dive into it. All right, so first off, just kind of going through our agenda here. And we're going to start with the approvals and signatures. So in the Housecall Pro mobile app, this has been around as long as I've been here, is that there is always a spot for us to collect signatures, and you can collect signatures either on an estimate or you can collect them on a job. For the estimate, we're going to see it together. There is really one spot, as the picture here shows, that it just says approve the estimate. We click that button, we can go ahead, turn our phone or our tablet around, and the customer can sign with our technician right there on the spot. So it is there, and when we do collect it out in the field, we are able to see this in the office. Again, we're going to show you how we're able to, see all of this information. As we move forward, one of the new things that did come out is that we are able to create our own custom fields. And one of the questions that was here today, and I am going to demo it a little bit later, but for example, is like out here in California, a lot of the pros out here have a signature requirement that is called the 3-day right to waive. And I'm not going to go into all of what's included with that, but it is something that is required out here. So that is what we did and created this custom signatures for, so that you can include something like that if you are in another state or in another county, or if you just want to collect signatures for any other purposes. You can also do that within this particular area. Again, I will show you all how to go ahead and set this up. But when it is set up, you'll be able to collect those signatures on the mobile app, just like the little image to the right over here is showing, is that we can go ahead, same idea as collecting the approval on the estimates, clicking in the upper left-hand corner to get that approve button and select which option that we want the customer to sign off on. Um, if signatures that are displayed in gray, if they are collected at the current price of the job, and it will go red if it needs to be recollected or if any costs are changed on the job, so that way we have that signature and we have that trail or paper trail of customers being able to say like, hey, you did sign off on this when we changed the price so that there's no mistake if this should go any further. And once signatures are collected, they will be displayed on the invoice, which I will show you in the approval selection, and we'll be able to see this on the web. So us in the office, if we need to double check if a signature was collected, we can certainly do so. Um, Taking a look at a couple of these frequent asked questions that we put here. What happens if I delete a signature from the settings? Deleting will not affect any already collected signatures. It's just going to kind of move forward. So the option will collect or recollect that signature will no longer exist on existing and future jobs. And what does the toggle do on the signature settings? Turning the toggle off will remove the option to collect or recollect that signature on existing and future jobs. So really thought that we all needed to cover that, so we did put that in there for you. Let's go ahead and move forward. So putting all these pieces together when it comes to signatures and compliances, it all really goes back to our T's and C's, our terms and conditions. And if you've met with me before on our very first call, or if you've met with anyone on our team, one of the first things we address is terms and conditions, because I do have some pros that get a little confused when they are setting up their company profile, because right above terms and conditions is message on invoice receipt and estimate. And so sometimes people ask, where is the best place to put all this information? I want the customer to be able to see all of my terms and conditions. Well, what I typically tell people in this is that if you want it visible for everybody to see on the actual invoice itself or the actual estimate, you will want to put it in your message on invoice, receipt, and estimate. However, legally, and I'm going to preface here that I am not a lawyer, but from my understanding is that you will always going to want to add that information as well as in your terms and conditions, because that is just kind of the way to cover yourself. So I always tell everybody is your terms and conditions, you'll always want to put in any legal lingo that covers yourselves in the company in that section, because just like any other company or product that has terms and conditions, that's where their legalese is. And from my understanding, I haven't been to court for anything like this, but if you should, I believe you have a much stronger case if it's in your terms and conditions. Now, how those terms and conditions look when they go to customers is whenever we send a document to a customer, there's going to be a little link, just like it shows here on the right-hand side, that the customer can click on to view your terms and conditions. That is how it works within our system currently. Moving away from terms and conditions, but still like kind of, I wouldn't say moving away, but just kind of branching off to the side here is the e-signatures on estimates. We've heard your feedback. We've always had collecting signatures out in the field, but we want to have an extra layer of protection. When in the past we used to send off estimates and customers would just simply click on approve. And when I've talked to pros before, there was always kind of a little friction there when it comes to, well, we want them to sign it because the signature is worth more than just clicking the approval button. So I've had many discussions with people about having to point out in your terms and conditions that clicking the approve button is just as good as collecting a signature. Well, now we can scrap that, because now we have e-signatures on estimates. So when a customer receives an estimate via email or via text, they'll be able to go open that up in the customer portal. If you haven't seen the customer portal, we did do a session on it a couple weeks ago, so I would strongly recommend taking a look at that. We are going to see a little bit of it today when I show you how this is going to look for the customer. But now customers can open up their email, go into their customer portal, and actually type out to sign off on an estimate over the internet. So it's here. And I think with that, that's the end of the presentation. So let's dive into our demo. Now, I'm just going to start here. We'll start with just kind of the setup, and then we'll move from web over to the app. I think that'll probably be our best course of action here. So starting with our settings for let's start with terms and conditions. So as I mentioned, really kind of the first thing I go over with everybody is when we're on our company profile and we scroll down to the bottom, there's the spot for our terms and conditions. There's the spot for our message on invoice, receipt, and estimate. So again, as I said, if you want something to be visual on every single estimate, invoice, or receipt, you'll want to put that in here. However, if you want to better protect yourself in terms of legal matters, you'll want to put anything that is important here in your terms and conditions. Now, when people go in here, I get this question all the time is that box looks kind of small. Yeah, no kidding. However, you can go ahead and fill this up with as much information as you need. So even though I just have this small message here, you can continue to fill this up and put in all the information you need to cover yourselves in the company. Now, other things here within your settings. So first thing that I'll point out is for under jobs, there is going to be a spot for signatures. Now, this is where I added my 3-day right to waive. So anybody in California who needs to add this, this is where you go to do so. You will also notice that down below here, there is a spot for me to continue to add more signatures for jobs. So, I maybe change in work order. And we can even put in some terms. And we have right here where we can turn this on or turn this off at any time, as well as we can make changes to either the title of the signature, the terms, or we can also delete it. So pretty user-friendly, pretty straightforward. And then for estimates, when we go down to estimates, we're going to want to go to estimate defaults. And in there, that is right here where we can go ahead and flip the switch to require e-signatures for approval through the client portal. So very easy steps to take to go ahead and apply this to your account. And how this is going to look is that first, let's start with an estimate. So I've gone ahead and on my schedule here, not this one, this one. Okay, maybe not. Let's just start up a new one. So here's an estimate. We're going to go ahead and put in our customer. And I'm just going to quickly send one off. So let's put in a service. And we'll go ahead and send this off to me. All right, so here is the email that I received. So I'm going to share it with you all. So here's the email that customers will get when we send off an estimate to them. And as you can see, there's the terms and conditions. So if they want to take a look at them, they can always click on it. It will open up the separate window, which it just did over here to display my terms and conditions. And when they click on view estimate, that will bring them into their client portal here. So again, we did go over everything that is available within the client portal, so I strongly suggest you check that out. But in terms of what we're talking about today, there is the approve button right there. And when we click on it, it's going to say, all right, let's go ahead and confirm your name with a signature. So as we can see, it just typed it out right there. If you do want to choose to draw it, you are more than welcome to. Whenever I do this, it looks like chicken scratch, so we're just going to keep it with type. And there's a couple of other things in here, including our terms and conditions and agreeing to conduct business electronically with my company. So a couple of different options there, but when the customer is ready, they will just hit approve. And there's our approval. And we can see that the customer has approved. And for us in the office, there's also letting us know the approval, and we can view the signed agreement. So that's how it looks on the web portal. I'm going to go ahead and then switch us over to the mobile app so we can see how that looks. Just give me a moment here. I'm just going to start up a new estimate. Okay. All right, so now I've gone ahead and I've set up my estimate here. I'm going to switch on over to my mobile app and see how that looks. All right, everyone can see my mobile app, right?
Looks good.
All right, cool, cool. Let's go on down. We're going to take a look at our estimates. The one I just created, that's this one right here. So when we are in the mobile app with our technicians, in the upper left-hand corner, you see that there is the approve button right there. So if we go ahead and click on it, there's the approve estimate at the very bottom there. Click on that. That is where we can go ahead, turn our phone, turn our tablet around to the customer. We'll go ahead and sign off on it. And we even see right here that the status has then gone to approved. Now, when we're ready to go ahead and copy it over to a job, just like we've done before, and now we have our job. For us to go ahead and get the approval on this, same idea in the upper left-hand corner, we'll click on the approve button, and as you can see, there's all four of those options I have for signatures. The defaults that already come with the Housecall Pro system is before work starts and after work is completed. So that is why those are there, and you maybe didn't see them in my settings. They will always be there for you. So if you do want to collect signature before work starts or after work is completed, you most certainly can. And I also have that 3-day right to waive. And as you can see, my terms show up right at the very top there by saying you are agreeing to what I'm doing, no takebacks. And we'll go ahead and sign for that. And we'll just, collect a couple of other signatures. So before work starts, all right. And as you all notice, when I click on that again, the ones that have been signed for go gray. So if you do need to collect extra signatures or just want to collect one instead of all of them, you can always do so. Now, quickly going to shift back over to the web portal so that we can see in the office how we collected those signatures. So here is the estimate first. For us in the office, if we scroll down, we actually get to see a picture of the signature. And if we go on over to the actual job, we'll also be able to see all the signatures that we collected there on the job. So um, that's really kind of the all the main points and heavy hitters of the compliance within our system. We talked about setting up these terms and conditions, setting up the signatures, and then we went ahead and saw how to approve an estimate via email. And I showed you all how to do this in the mobile app for collecting signatures on estimates, as well as collecting signatures on jobs. So at this point, opening the floor to any questions. I see one quickly here from Ulysses. Can the signature thing be added to service plans? Um, Not in terms of if we are sending off a service plan to somebody for them to accept it. I think that's something that is being considered, but I would say to get around that or a good workaround for it is that if you are doing it out in the field or if you add a service agreement to a job, technically you can have them sign off on it that way. But it would still stick, it still sticks with the job, the signature will. Um, but as of right now, we don't really have a way for a signature to stick with a service agreement.
Yeah, my best suggestion for that would be to either add all of your information about service plans. A lot of pros actually use the sales proposal tool to present those. So you could put it into an estimate, present that to your customer, have them sign that, and then set up the service plan. Um, yeah, good note from Amber here too. Our product manager who's in charge of e-signatures is also in charge of service plans. So we'll likely see those two jiving together in the future.
Cool. I don't see anything else at the top here, so I will go ahead and go into our prepared questions, and give you all some time to formulate some questions for me. All right, so the first prepared question we had is from Jeffrey. California contractors, how are you including the 3-day notice to cancel? So I already addressed this. You just go right in, Jeffrey will just go into your settings, signatures on jobs. Then you can add that 3-day right to waive and include your terms for that as well. Next question for John. On the website, I have terms and conditions on our estimate form. When I use the app to write an estimate, the terms and conditions are not shown. Is this a setting I would like for terms and conditions to be on every estimate as a default? So John, I understand what you're saying is like when you are standing there and you are looking at the estimate itself and you're standing there with the customer, you don't see the terms and conditions. However, as I mentioned, anytime you send any document to your customer, you're always going to have a link that goes to your terms and conditions. And there is no way to take that off. It's always going to be there. Next question from Dan. If enabled, can the customer still sign on the technician's device? The answer would be yes. There's no really enabling or disabling e-signatures from the mobile device. As I said, we'll always have approved for estimate. You'll always have approved before work starts, excuse me, or after work is completed. If enabled, is it possible? He had a follow-up. If enabled, is it possible for the pro to approve? Yes, there is. I'm assuming he's talking about estimates, but let's go because for jobs there actually isn't really a way for us on the back end to approve a job. So we can't like automatically put in a signature for a job. So I'm assuming he's talking about an estimate. And for that, just going to build another quick estimate right here. And I'm sure everybody is somewhat familiar with this if you are in the office, but there is the approval button right there. However, when I talk to people about that approval button, obviously we don't want to get, trigger happy and just start approving all of our estimates when our customers are truly not. So I always use this as your last resort. So if a customer should reach out to you and say like, hey, I'm having trouble finding your email. I'm having trouble opening your email. I'm calling in because I just want to go ahead and get started. Really make sure that you have some kind of either recording or some kind of verbal approval, something you can point to before you really start coming on in here. But yes, you can approve or decline on behalf of a customer. All right, next is from Sam. Given the in-person signatures are a bit muddled in terms of legal enforcement, are you aware if there are similar situations where e-signature can be legally binding in cases of litigation? Um, as I stated kind of at the beginning of my demo here, I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding and I've always coached people is if you are going to have signatures within Housecall Pro, just make sure that you have something within your terms and conditions. Maybe you might want to consult with somebody who knows better legalese than I do, to make sure that your terms and conditions are, in fact, well written and match with what you want in terms of your signatures. Again, as far as I know, I've always heard as long as it is in your terms and conditions, you can certainly, that gives you more weight if you should go into litigation. Next question is from Larry. Does it make them check off that they've read the terms and conditions prior to signing? That is a very good question, and unfortunately, there is no requirement at this time within the system for the customers to look at your terms and conditions. Kwame, is it possible to activate it on the iPad or phone because I'm not always in front of a computer and I spend more time in the field than the office? So, Kwame, the answer is yes. As I mentioned already, the estimate signature out in the field, it's not going anywhere. Approve before work starts and after work is completed, that's not going anywhere. And you can always add more signatures. And as you said, you're mostly in the field, so you won't have to worry about it. Next question from Jeremy. How do I activate e-signatures on estimates? It's not showing in the settings menu under default estimate settings. Let me just kind of want to double check because it should be there. You went under settings and you went to default estimate settings. All right, Jeremy, don't necessarily, I would say you might want to set up a support call or reach out to our support team. If you are not seeing that, as far as I know, this is available to everybody. So maybe there's just something going on, maybe there's a bug, but I would strongly recommend reaching out to support.
Might depend on your plan as well. It's available on all plans except basic.
Oh, I did not know that, so I apologize. Because I think I said at the beginning it was available to everybody, but if you are on basic, looks like you don't have access to it. All right, and then last question here from Santon Plumbing. Is there a feature that will let us DocuSign style a contract to an estimate and require it to be signed on to approve the estimate? I get this question all the time, and so currently there isn't a way to have a document from DocuSign be in Housecall Pro system and then collect a signature. So the way I typically coach people how to do this is that you can, if you have the DocuSign document, send that to your customer through DocuSign first, have them sign it, then you can export or print out the PDF and then add it as an attachment to your job. That is just currently how I tell everybody to do it, and that seems to work for them. I do know, and we've talked about it before, is any day now we're about to have attachments with annotations, and so when that does come out, that may be a good workaround for people. Is that you can have customer pull up that attachment, use the annotation feature to have customers sign off on it. Um, I could see some legality issues with that. You may have to take a couple extra steps, like maybe actually print that attachment out after the signature. But again, I don't even have access to this, so I just kind of think about it in theory that could work. But as I mentioned, I've always told people just send the document through DocuSign first, get the signature through DocuSign first, and then upload it to your job or estimate. And that's all the ones that we had prepared. Looks like a couple. Ulysses, is the 3-day right to waive only a Cali thing? Can we enable that option and use it here in Texas? Um, I do know that this is specifically in California. I don't know if that there is one in Texas. I would probably recommend reaching out to somebody who has a little bit more law knowledge in the state of Texas than I do. Um, if an estimate is marked pro approved, is there a way for the customer to still sign and approve? Oh, I didn't see that there. Okay. So if the pro approves an estimate, um, I see what you're saying, and I'm trying to think. I may just have to quickly do a quick test on that. Because if it's approved, would you want to get the signature later? Because I would think that if you approved it, you would then just copy it to a job and then you could collect the signatures. But I see what you're saying. So I'm just going to test that because I've actually never tested that before. I would imagine that you probably. I'm just not even going to speak. I want to make sure I get the answer right. All right. So, all right. So this one's approved to me. We're going to approve here.
Phil, while you get that up, I was doing a little bit of research on that 3-day right to waive. That is pretty specific to California, but other states have similar laws. Those states include New York, Florida, Texas, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Massachusetts, North Carolina. They all vary, so do your own research, check your local laws, but those are a few of the states that I'm seeing here.
Awesome. Good to know. Um, so I went through it all. The answer is no. So if an estimate is approved on if a pro approves an estimate and we pull it up in the mobile app, it's actually going to already be grayed out. And that's kind of what I was thinking is because once we mark it as approved, it's going to tell the mobile app that it's approved, and that would make sense that it would block off the signature. If this is a problem for a lot of you, I would strongly recommend, providing that feedback back to us so that product can maybe take a look at that and maybe make it some improvements to it. But as of right now, if Pro approves it, we cannot collect the signature on site. Okay, and I see. All right, I see what you're saying. So yeah, Amber, what I would do is for those estimates that are pro, uh, yes, exactly. Um, my suggestion is kind of, I think I mentioned it a little earlier, is that if it is pro approved, just make sure that your team gets the signature maybe before work starts or after work is complete. You would probably want it before you start. So just make sure they get that signature before work starts on the job.
Good deal, good deal. Y'all, last chance. Any other questions?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Nice, nice.
yeah, good deal.
I guess,
Um,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead, Phil.
It just a light popped on. Is Amber, maybe you could also even before work starts, you could also add your own custom signature in there. Maybe as like a fallback, like approve signature acknowledging approval of estimate or something like that. Just an idea.
Great suggestion. Yeah, we'll do. We'll do, Amber. We'll talk about that tomorrow. It's a great segue, actually. I just dropped that in the chat. We have an office hours every Friday. Amber's been there, I think every week since we started it. So thank you for joining us. It's every Friday at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern. It's for an hour. You can come pop on Zoom, join a few other pros. We've had some consistent attendance. So join some other pros, network, talk shop. And then you also get access to me, to Lauren Jean, to Jessica Peterson, Shayna, pretty much everybody on our community team. And give us feedback, and we pass all that feedback along to our product managers and marketing managers, so we can improve Housecall Pro. And every week, people take away new learnings, share things with each other. So encourage you to join. And if you're a super pro, you get an hour before that as well at 10 a.m. So if you're super pro, you get 2 hours of it. So yeah, I encourage you to join us there. The link's there. You can sign up. Once you sign up once, you'll be registered. You can add it to your calendar and try to join us every week.
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, sounds like we are wrapping up here. I don't see any questions. So y'all, thanks for joining us. I'll figure out what we're going to do next week. Oh, see some stuff popping up. An hour early as a super pro on the same link. It is a different link, Tyler. Yeah, I'll shoot you a message. You're in the super pro group now, so I'll shoot you a message with the correct link. It's a separate exclusive link for the super pros. Sweet. All right, all right. Well, cool. We'll catch everyone next week. Let us know what we can do. Yeah, I got you too, Rainbow. I'll get you too. Yeah, let us know what topics you want us to cover in the coming weeks. I don't think we have anything figured out yet, so we'll get together and I'll try and make an announcement in the Facebook group on the next few topics. All right. Well, go enjoy opening day baseball. That's what I'm gonna do, and we'll catch everyone next week. See ya.
Sounds good. Bye.